Let's do it, Father John.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to Drinks with Johnny, coming to you from, Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. At least that's where I am, and I'm joined via satellite, Zoom, whatever they call it these days, by the living legend himself, Mr. Zakk Wylde. How are you doing today, man?
Oh, let's shake it, Father John. I'm enjoying having some drinks with you out here. I'm in parts unknown right now.
Parts unknown. It looks pretty beautiful wherever that is, though, man.
Exactly. Well, it's where the Ultimate Warrior resides. But no, just hanging right now, getting ready for the. I guess we're getting ready to go down to Australia on the 14th for more of the Pantera celebration.
Yeah,
so we're going to be rolling down there doing that, and then we're just home for a couple days, and then getting ready to go back down now.
That's awesome, man. What's in the mug? You got some coffee? One of your cups of coffee?
Oh yeah, I got the Odin Force going, buddy.
Hell
I keep drinking until I can't feel my legs. Then I know it's working.
That's a hell of a bean you got there, brother. Well, dude, thank you so much for the time, for being on the podcast with me. It's really quite an honor to have someone of your stature here with me, and I'm a big fan from everything back to Ozzy, Black Label Society, and now paying homage to the late great Dimebag and Vinny, and doing the Pantera thing. And then, of course, what I got was the Doomed Forever, Forever Doomed Zakk Sabbath album sent to me to have you come on here to talk about it. And man, this is like the first time you guys released more than an EP with it. I know you toured, you've done some shows and shit like that, but listening to you guys actually recording it, man, you guys fucking nailed it.
Well, we did the first album, the first Sabbath album. We did that one.
Yeah.
And then, but the best is the reviews for these albums. The first album, it was just one word. It just said Zakk Sabbath, Vertigo. Why?
Just one.
And this album, since we did, it's a double album.
Yeah.
It just, Doom Forever, Forever Doom. We did, obviously, the next two albums. You got Paranoid and Master Reality. So it was just like the review for this one is two words. And it was just, please stop.
Wow. Dude, I felt the opposite, though. Like, I mean, I get if someone's looking for something new, but or something different, but you guys nailed it. You bringing those tones of those classic albums to like a new age in a way, you know what I mean? And I felt that was really, I reached out to Blasco, a mutual friend of ours, and I was like, dude, your bass sounds fucking killer on this shit. Like it's obviously not the same, but I love the tones that you guys brought out to pay homage to these amazing songs.
No, I dig it. I mean, we love. I mean, the Zakk Sabbath thing is just awesome. I mean, it's just everyone seems to know the songs, and it's just like It's kind of no different than like the keg parties and the kitchen. When I used to jam in people's kitchens, their basements, the keg parties in the backyards. Like when I was like 17 years old. Except now I'm 57 years old, and there's some more people, but it's pretty much exactly the same. So nothing's really changed. So it's just we have a blast doing it. I remember, like when we first started doing this whole Zakk Sabbath thing, we were doing the Metal All Stars, and I remember Blasco would always just be like, "Well, what songs you want to do?" Whether we were doing whatever songs, Cream, or we were doing Hendrix and Sabbath, or whatever. And then it just came into Blasco was like, "Well, you want to just do the Zakk Sabbath set?" Because that's because we would always end up playing with different drummers. Yeah. So it was kind of like, if you play hard rock or anything, it's kind of, if you're a classical musician, something by Bach, Mozart, or Beethoven, you're going to know, it's like middle ground. It's part of your education. Right. So, with heavy rock, it's either Zeppelin, Sabbath, or Deep Purple. You'll know Smoke on the Water, Whole Lot of Love, or Paranoid, or war pigs or something.
Right.
So that's how the Zakk Sabbath thing came about. But yeah, but we've been having a blast with it. So then we ended up doing the first record, and so now I guess it's going to be whenever we feel like knocking out it would be obviously volume 4 will be next up on the you know on the on deck circle when we get around to that one.
Right. So in this one though, the 2 album release, Forever, Doomed Forever, Forever Doomed. We went. My first record, like as you said, being in this genre and stuff of Black Sabbath, was the Paranoid record. That was the one that's still my favorite. I think, probably because it was the first time I was introduced to Black Sabbath. You heard Iron Man, Paranoid, songs like that, but it was the first time I listened to the entire record. Was the Paranoid record, and I was just curious what your first experience was like listening to Sabbath.
I remember I had to be like maybe about 11, about 11 years old. And we were it was in school in art class. I remember a buddy of my buddy Tommy at the time. He had a skull. We were doing like sculptures, like a Color Me Mine kind of thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was with ceramics, and he made a jawless skull, which is basically Scully in the Black Label, Brave corporate logo. Just right. The jawless skull, and I was like, oh, and he had a lightning bolt going through, and it said Black Sabbath 666 or whatever. I was just like, oh, what's that? And he goes, oh, it's this rock band my older brother listens to. I never heard them or anything like that, because all I heard was, I was into Elton John, and you had AM radio, top 40 radio.
Right.
So I was just like, this is before classic rock and everything like that. So I was just like, oh wow, because it looked cool. So I remember the first album I got was We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll. And, like being that I'm Catholic, I put the record on, and halfway through the first album, I became a full-blown Satanist. And by the end of the album, I converted back to Catholicism just so I could thank God for creating Black Sabbath. So there you have it.
That's one of the best explanations I have ever heard to a question about the origin of fucking listening to music. I love that.
And it's a true story.
Yeah, dude. You can feel it. No, that's fucking awesome, man. You mentioned you're Catholic. You were born Catholic, obviously, because you said this was like 11 years old and stuff, and you're still, are you still Catholic practicing?
Oh, yes. I actually, this one guy asked, I saw on Facebook, because I post every Sunday, Blessed Sunday to everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, somebody goes, is that Christian? I go, oh, yeah. He's with the most satanic form of Christianity. He's Catholic. I was just like, wow, I had never heard that one, but yeah, I'll take it. But yeah, pretty funny, man. But as far as my explanation going with Black Sabbath, yes, that's we actually had to introduce him into the Classic Rock Hall of Fame or Lifetime Achievement thing. That's I had to let them know that's my first introduction to Black Sabbath. But here we are. So, yep. No, totally, man.
Dude, and then, so you listen to Black Sabbath. Years go by. We could cover some of that shit, but, let's get into some of the monumental shit. Later on, you're, growing up in Jersey, there's a bunch of people that want the gig of playing for Ozzy. You land the gig. Can you talk to me a little bit about how that went down? I heard you mention it a couple times on some other podcasts, but I was just curious as that was happening, did you already have the voice or that you could emulate Ozzy that well? Or was that something that you developed from the years of working with him?
Yeah, I think it's just, like if we had a wedding band and, let's say you could nail all the Zeppelin stuff or whatever, we'll let you sing all the Robert Plant stuff and all the higher stuff. And then me, I could do the Ozzy stuff. I could do Taylor Swift, if we got anything like that we're going to be doing, I could cover that stuff. But no, I think it's just like JD, if we did have a wedding band, like JD has a baritone voice, like he could do Lou Rawls and Jim Morris. So, because he's got the low voice. So, no, I think no, it's just I can like you said, if I had to emulate it and we were in a wedding band, that would be my department, is singing those songs. You know what I mean?
Right. That
But
makes
you know,
sense.
whereas like you said, if there's four of us in the band, we could do different voices. I'd be doing the early Ozzy stuff. Like somebody was like, "Oh, well, are you going to do any Ronnie James Dio stuff?" I go, "No, I can't sing that. We'd have to leave that to Russell over in Symphony X or something like that." So in our wedding band, we'll let Father Russell cover that stuff.
There you go. But yeah, go back to the you're in competition with some heavy hitters at the time, trying to land that gig with Ozzy. What was it that you felt made it stand out for you?
I think it was because I could do the way I could, do dishes, laundry, and the way if he wanted a tuck or a no tuck when I was doing the linens and when I make a bed. He was just like, you know what? Yeah. He said sometimes when they do the tuck and it's too tight, it's bad on my feet, so it's bad on my footsies. The way Zakk tucks it in, I can move the sheets and I'm not like stuck in there, so
that's pretty rad.
I think
it's like the Seinfeld.
That's what got me over, because let's be real, it's not the playing. So
well, that's definitely not the truth there. So I know it's mostly the playing, of course. That's why I ask, but there's a lot of other good players. You know that we've been traveling musicians for a while. You run into a lot of great players, so you got to have something that stands out, right?
Yeah, and I think it was also my chicken piccata. I didn't go. I don't use salt. I use capers. And I think that's what a lot of guys if they use too much salt, it overpowers the chicken. That's why I go with the capers.
It's so smart. It's so smart of you not to overpower the chicken.
But it also adds.
So smart of you not to overpower the chicken, man. I never would have thought of that. That's
what I'm saying. You don't want the condiments or whatever you're adding to the dish to overpower the flavor.
Right.
It's like putting too much Tabasco in something. You want the Tabasco to just add a little bit of zing, just not to overpower.
That's was there hazing? That makes it. You make it. I understand the analogies here, but was there any hazing there too? Then.
Well, no. I mean, the funny thing is coming like with the because I'm joining a bunch of older guys.
Yeah.
And they're taking me in under their wing. So, but no, it was definitely cool. There wasn't any hazing or anything like that. It was just like they took me in as, I guess, like, as like a little brother. You know what I mean? So they didn't want to, beat up on me too much. So, I mean, but no, it was just, I mean, I always say it was like a miracle any work ever got done between all the drinking and the comedy and Ozzy just taking a piss out of himself 25-8. I mean, it was just like, all you have to do is hang out with him for like 5-10 minutes. You'd be on the floor crying, laughing. You know what I mean? Just him taking a piss out of himself. I mean, it's just like, he was even like with Spinal Tap. He was like, Zakk, I remember going to that movie for the first time. I thought it was a documentary on Black Sabbath. He goes, because he said basically everything that had happened in that movie was like something that had happened to Black Sabbath. I was like, wow, that's hilarious, man. But no, Ozzy, he's the best. And I mean, all the guys, when I was there with John Sinclair, Phil Soussan, and Randy Castillo when we started working on the record. And then, when Bob Daisley came in and then playing with Geezer, I mean, all the guys are great, man. So, and being, 19, 20 years old coming into that and then doing the tours when I'm like 21, 22 years old, it was amazing.
Dude,
Yeah, it completely, it absolutely exceeded even my wildest dreams. So, yeah, like when your dreams actually outdo reality, it's pretty amazing.
Dude, absolutely. I mean, I asked that question because obviously not to the same level. Avenged was just starting out, but I was young and it was a brother. They were already tight knit group. And there was there's a little bit of little brother hazing when I joined in because they're a couple years older and stuff. So that's why I asked with the tucking and everything. Because I'm sure. I mean, I could take down a good drum set was the reason why I got the gig. So it was something there.
Exactly. But no, it's just, there's any ribbon and everything. It's all in good fun, man. You know what I mean?
Of course,
But
of course.
but no, just everybody. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I've never been in a band ever that we didn't all dig hanging out with each other and going out, whether we were drinking or going out for pizza or whatever. We all enjoy each other's company. So I've been blessed in that regard. I mean, even from when we were 15, 16 years old, playing Black Sabbath at keg parties and people's kitchens and stuff like that, to me talking to you right now. I've never been in a band where you're like, Zakk, I can't be in a room with this guy. So I've been blessed in that regard.
Dude, that's awesome. And I mean, you're blessed for sure, but I think it also is like a precedent that you set for yourself, right? It's like you're not going to do something. I mean, you in general. Maybe you would agree with this. I wouldn't want to do something like that. Be in a band with anybody or be touring or just like this is supposed to be fun. You got to remember why we picked up our instruments to begin with, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it just exactly because you don't want to be stuck at some crummy job. I mean,
Yeah, fuck that.
I mean, even all the jobs I had, whether I was working in the produce department at Fine Fair and then working at Getty Gas and working at Mobile pumping gas. I mean, when I used to do construction during the summers, I always had a good time with my friends. So, but no, I agree. I mean, why would you want to be in a miserable situation in anything?
Right.
You wouldn't hang out with these people. You know what I mean? Would just. Why would you don't even have to get into an argument. You just get up and leave.
Yeah.
It's like, where'd Johnny and Zakk go? I don't know, but I don't think they're coming back.
No shit, right? Mentioning some of the bands that you've been in, I did have a question. I haven't brought this one back in a while, but for some of the fans who've listened to this podcast for a while, there's a question I'd like to ask. Do you know Brooks Wackerman?
What's that, boss?
Do you know Brooks Wackerman?
Who?
Brooks Wackerman, our drummer.
Oh, what's his name?
Brooks Wackerman.
No, I don't know. Where would I know him from?
See, that's the question. I just had a conversation with him. We're in Toronto about to do a show, and he's like, "Oh, who's on the podcast today?" I said, "Zakk Wylde." He said, "Oh, no shit. Ask him if he remembers being at A&M about 15 or so years ago with Robert Trujillo and him doing some kind of Black Sabbath or Ozzy cover for a Japanese video game that never came out."
Well, I know we were with Roberto over at A&M, so that's where I would probably remember him.
Yeah.
So did he? Well, tell him I said hi when you talk to him, man.
I will. I'll tell him that you remembered him and said like it was such a great session with him and everything. I'll butter it up real nice for you.
Yeah, pat it up, bro. But I mean, no. But it's just I'm sure if he's saying when we jammed that thing for Oz to do for a video game, I'm sure we did. Because I remember we were at A&M and stuff like that. So
no, but I bring up the question because Brooks is the kind of guy. He's literally. There's only like 2 degrees of separation from any musician, and he's been a studio cat since he was 15 years old. He's been worked with everybody under the sun. So
well, I'm sure he was probably jamming with us there. I'm sure he's not lying. So you know what I mean?
For sure. I want to get back to another thing. They're like working with Ozzy. You were on one of my favorite Ozzy songs of all time, No More Tears. When I was a kid watching that fucking music video come up on MTV every fucking morning and listening to that fucking screaming guitar solo that comes in. And then I read when you were going to come on here that you weren't just necessarily a hired gun for Ozzy there. You had some writing credits in there. You were collaborating on a lot of this shit, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the guitar player's department, whether it's Randy or Jake, so you're the guitar player. It's like, well, what do you got riff wise? You know what I mean? What riffs you have? What songs you got? So, yeah, no, totally. But I mean, that particular song, No More Tears, started with Mikey Inez with Skank. Mikey started with that da-da-dum, dum, da-da-dum, dum, da-da-dum, just in,
classic.
We might have been in the third encore or something at rehearsals.
Oh,
but Mike started that. Then Randy came in just like he came in on the record. And we were just jamming. And then John Sinclair came in with the keyboard thing. And me, because of my love for like the Allman Brothers and Skinner and everything like that, I had a slide with me, and then you know, like a Freebird kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I did that, and then and then I pretty much like exactly what you're hearing on the record. And then after that, we stopped. Like, and then Mike was still playing and Randy was playing, so we did kind of like a War Pigs kind of thing where it's just like, the Ozzy a call and answer where
Calling it.
Oz
Yep.
does the melody and then there's a riff.
Right.
So and then, but I mean that song pretty much was what you're hearing is like just us jamming. That how that one came apart, came about.
Right.
But I remember when we got to the middle bit, we didn't know where to go. And I remember I was just jamming on the keyboard, dan on, do, like almost kind of like a Pink Floyd kind of thing, because I was listening to Floyd at the time, like, Dark Side of the Moon kind of thing. And then now listening to it almost sounds like a Beatlesy, like Strawberry,
I could see that.
Strawberry Fields or something like that. It reminds me of when I hear it now. Yeah. And then, and that's when the solo came about, because we were like, it got to that part and it was nothing. And then I remember when we were at A&M Studios is when I was noodling on the piano, and then John Sinclair elaborated on it, and then it became what it became. And then, like, even when we got into the solo thing, Randy, there's no click on it. Randy just came in, and then we played the rest of the song out. But yeah, that was just like,
that's just jamming, huh? That's sick.
yeah, just like a real organic thing, and just like kind of like. Then it just came together when we got to the guitar section thing. I was like, all right, I'll solo over this, down, what was it, F, G to D. I'll solo over that, and then the crescendo going up, and then it was like, all right, and then we'll get back to the verse again. You know what I mean? So, right. But that's how that one, that song came about. I never thought it was going to be a single, though. I would have never thought, especially because it was so long.
Oh, dude, it's epic though, and it goes everywhere. That's what everything you just said to me, I was really reliving the first time I heard it, and it's exactly that. You hear the fucking bass riff, you hear the drums come in, you hear the keyboard, and then you hear that fucking slinky fucking sweet guitar coming over. And then you get to the verse, that great melody, the call and answer, everything about it, man. That's you just named everything that I love about that fucking song just in describing how it came about. That's so cool.
No, I mean, and Oz. With him, I mean, I always just say he's the king of the melody, because his love for the Beatles and everything like that. It just, that melody, very rarely, with everything that we've done, did Miracle Man, Crazy Babies, No More Tears, everything, Perry Mason, I mean, just name it. Everything, the melodies he comes up with, very rarely would he go, I want to change the melody, I don't like what I'm singing. It would always usually be the first thing that comes out of his head, and it, like, knocks it out of the park.
That's so cool.
Like, No More Tears, night in the window is a crack in the sky. That was the first thing that came out of his head.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool. That's so, it's always interesting to me because everyone has different processes, especially if they're doing this podcast. You knew it a little bit before just talking with other musicians, but now doing this podcast, I really like to ask about people's different writing process. And it sounds like you guys came from the times with real jamming, figuring that shit out. It wasn't sitting in front of computers and just toiling over riffs. I mean, I'm not dissing that because that's kind of how I write, is sitting in front of Pro Tools these days. But it's there's something.
It does save a lot of time though. I mean, because put it this way, when we used to do it back in the day, I remember we would jam these songs. Like how when you're getting ready for a tour, you know what I'm saying? Where everybody does their homework, you get down to rehearsals. Right. And we go over the songs, and then, you want to give, the segues going, if you want to have something going, an interlude going in between guitar changes and things like that. So, I mean, for the rest of the lighting guys and for the crew and guitar changes and everything. So, we'll work out the show like a Broadway musical. But I mean, you rehearse the songs and you go over it and then, you know it. I mean, because writing, I mean, when we used to do it like that, you'd be playing these songs till you're stuck in all the life right out of the song. So I was just going, this, like the way we do it now, I mean, it's just like, because the perfect example is when Sabbath was doing Paranoid, the album you love, they had everything rehearsed when they went in there. whether it was Fairies Wear Boots, War Pigs, everything that's on that album. And then at the end, they were like, I'm like, Johnny, we need like to fill up another 3-4 minutes. And I'm like, do you got anything? And you're like, all right, well, Zakk, let me come up with something. I go, all right, well, we'll go get some coffee. I'll make a coffee run and get some food. See what you can, come up with. And then when we come back, you got brown, down, down, da 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 brown, and you're like da da da, and then the drums will kick in here, dun 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 down down. That'll be the verse, and then and then Oz will sing something over it, and then he's got his melody, and then Oz is like, well, Johnny, just come up. Here's the melody. Come up with some lyrics, and you just wrote some lyrics right there that you had off the top of your head, and that's like your encore song for your entire career. So what I'm saying is you guys just wrote that off the top of your head because you needed to fill out 3 minutes. So what I'm saying is
wild.
You can't stop creativity. Because if you're gonna if you would have just written that then, I was like, John, we got to put that on the record. When did you write that? And you're like, Zakk, I just wrote it this morning before we came down to the studio. I said, we should use that. That's good. So, and I understand the being well rehearsed and everything like that because, if you're going in the studio and it's $1,000, $3,000 a day, you want to get in there and knock it out and get it over with. You know what I mean? So, but, if you start writing, I'm not going to stop you. You know what I mean? You start coming out with all this good stuff. I mean, it's just like, just keep going. You know what I mean?
Dude,
you never know when you're going to come up with Freebird or Stairway or White Christmas. You know what I mean? So just keep going.
I love that White Christmas is in there because that is a fucking classic song.
Oh, yeah. It's a classic.
All right, so
it's a classic, a timeless classic, no less.
Dude, I'm dreaming of a white. I love Christmas music. You love Christmas music?
Love it. I got with Black Label. We do Christmas. I got a bunch of Christmas songs out there. I think probably this year, then we'll just elaborate on that thing. Without a doubt.
You did. That's so rad. Back to the Ozzy thing. I did get a chance to see you play with Ozzy. One of the last tours we were on in Europe. It was like that one, the Italian festival. It was us, Judas Priest, and Ozzy. I don't know if you remember. And it was the first time I got to see you actually play with them, or all you guys play together with Blasco on the side and everything. And man, it was such a treat, man. It was such a treat to watch you perform live because you can hear stuff on an album, you can hear stuff on, and you like. It comes down to feel when you, in my opinion. Is the most important thing for a player live. Like you could have all the chops in the world, and that's great. I'm not and you could play them on a record. That's great. But can you go out and make it sing to the audience? And I'll be damned. You guys fucking sounded incredible that night. Like that was.
I appreciate it, brother.
But just watching you play, and then I realized I was like, this motherfucker looks so familiar, and not because I already knew him from Black Label Society, all the other things. I was like, he looks familiar from something else. And I was fucking like toiling over it. Then I was talking to Miles Kennedy a couple years ago on this show, and he reminded me it was from the fucking movie Rockstar.
Oh, yes. Another timeless classic.
Dude, I loved that movie, dude. I was so good at, obviously based on like the loosely based. I'll correct myself there on the Judas Priest story there when they.
Yeah, totally. We had a blast making that. Mark Wahlberg's good people, and then Jen's super cool. Steve Herrick, who directed it, like everybody, and then obviously hanging out with Father Jason and everybody, Jeff Pilson and all the guys. So it was just we had a blast making the movie. I mean, all good people and everything. And I was like, when they asked me about doing the movie, I was just like, well, what is it you want me to do? And they go, well, we want a guy that, that drinks beer, plays guitar, and shoots shotguns and whatnot. And I go, you're going to pay me for this?
Yeah, well, I was already going to do that anyway.
Yeah, I was like, all right, no problem. So I'll see you on Tuesday. So,
dude, that's awesome. You mentioned like they were all good people. You have a lot of interactions with some of those big. I mean, those are A-list actors, of course, too. So it's always People always
Yeah,
want
I
to
mean,
hear
well,
about that.
because I was saying, like, Mark and Jennifer Aniston, like, super cool, and would just hang out with everybody on the set. So, I mean, it was just, and all the guys that worked in the makeup department, everybody that was, the wardrobe people, everybody that worked on them were all really good people. Just like everybody's super sweet.
Dude,
Good. Just, you'd want to hang out with everybody.
I love hearing that. And I also heard from Miles though that was during the time Brad Pitt was dating Jen, or they might have been married at the time, Jennifer Aniston, and he came on the set, and Miles felt like really weird next to him. Did you have any interactions with Brad Pitt?
I didn't see Brad. He was down there, but usually I would drive home after like 6 o'clock, wherever we were on the set. I think he came down to like one of the LA sports arena shows, when we were filming there, but
Mm-hmm.
I had already split. But, yeah, but everybody said Brad was super cool,
Okay. Yeah,
So,
no.
yeah, he
Always
just come
curious
down,
about that.
came down, hang out with everybody, and then, it was just, everybody was having a good time.
Dude, fucking so cool. And I was just remembering as we were talking, there's another time that we played together. You guys did '06 Ozfest. That was the only Ozfest we did. You did it with Black Label Society, right?
Oh, wow, yeah. I mean, on a bunch of those back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know you were on a bunch of them.
Well, no,
I'm
because
sure,
some of the times I was doing double duty with the boss.
yeah.
I'd be
I think
playing with,
might have been one of the
Black Label,
times.
then later on I'd come out with Oz.
You know what? I don't think Oz was on that one. I mean, he was around. I remember he came up while we were doing a sound check one day, and I was blown away. I was like, "Is that Ozzy just standing on our stage right now while I'm doing a sound check?"
Oh, he might have been. He might have been doing
21
Black
years old.
Sabbath back
Yeah.
then. Who knows?
I think he was just there checking it out, to be honest, because then I didn't see him the rest of the tour. It was System of a Down was headlining, was the big headliner for that.
Oh, so that was near the end. I think
Yeah.
Ozzy might not have been there.
Yeah,
That might have been the last. His System headlined the very last Ozfest.
that's what it was. And Disturbed was we were the mystery guests on it. You guys headlined the second stage, as I remember, with Black Label Society.
Okay,
Or something like that.
well there you go.
Yeah. I never got a chance to meet you there, though, so this is actually really awesome getting a chance to meet you.
Yeah,
there.
without a doubt, man.
Yeah, man. You mentioned some of the drinking and stuff. I know the show's called Drinks with Johnny, but you've been famously sober for how many years now?
I think it's like almost like 14 years now, man.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
So, I mean, Oz is always so good. He's like, "And you haven't had any slip-ups or none?" I was like, "No, Oz." He's just dying to hear, like, I knew it, And Oz, no, I haven't. Actually, no. I mean, I've actually had some non-alcoholic beers, and
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, I remember what this feels like. And then I checked the non-alcoholic beer, and it was like a real beer.
Oh, no.
But, yeah, but that was about it, and I was just like cracking up. But I mean, it was pretty funny. But yeah, but not. No, I just because when I got the blood clots, the doctor was like, I was like, "Doc, does this mean I gotta like chill out on the drinking?" He was like, "Well, Zach, it's just pretty much like putting blood thinner on blood thinner." He goes, and then the running joke was like, he goes, "Zach, if you've had blood clots genetically from your parents, I guess I don't know how to say this as a doctor, but all your years of heavy drinking, by thinning your blood, may have saved your life." And I told my wife, I go, "See, drinking is good for something," And she goes like, "Yeah, blow it out your ass." I was like, but anyways, no, he just said, "Now, Zach, between your liver count and your pancreas and everything, probably best off if you shut the pub down right about now, because you don't want to be headed towards liver transplant, and then your pancreas ain't too far behind." I said, "Like, nah." He goes, "Well, you could just walk out of here and not have another drink, and you'll be fine." I said, "All right, well, I guess I'll take door number 3." So he was like, "Yeah, if you like listening to Jimmy Page, hanging out with your dogs, fisting your prostate."
Fisting your prostate.
Doing those kinds of things.
Wait.
Yeah,
I'm not letting you go on that one. Wait, Zach. I'm not letting you go. Out of all those things, you just casually throw in fisting your prostate.
I always check on myself to make sure I got a clean bill of health. And so,
I think you're supposed to let a doctor do that, man. They don't put the whole
Exactly.
fist
Well,
in there.
health first. You know how it is. And I said, well, I love Jimmy Page, and I love my dogs, and I love hanging out with my family, and definitely to giving myself prostate exams. I love it all. So I said I'll take door number 3, and here
That's
we
it.
are.
Yeah, dude. That's interesting. So it came down to like obviously a health thing with the clots and going to the doctor. He's telling you that, but so there wasn't a lot of people who have been sober for a long time. They've hit a rock bottom, so to speak, and that's like their awakening. It sounds to me like you were already going through some health issues, and the doctor was like, yeah, you should stop that."
Yeah, I mean, like me and you would have left that. Would have been like, Father John, what do you think? You were like, what do you mean? What do you think? He goes, you heard him. You know what I mean? It'd be like me wrestling or whatever, and going, Zakk, you got to be careful. I mean, if I got a neck injury, it's just like, Zakk, I mean, if you're changing light bulbs in the house, if you fall, a big fall, you could be paralyzed. And I'm like, well, what do you think, John? Should I wrestle anymore? You're like, it's over, man.
Yeah, yeah,
You
that makes
know?
sense. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like, what more do I need to? What more do I need to hear? So it's just like, yeah, I should probably chill, man. So I was like, all right, well,
yeah.
it was a good run, but so that was
And
about it.
did you find it hard though? I'm asking these questions to be honest. I mean, I might cut this out later, but I don't know. I just made the decision to stop drinking myself about 3 days ago, and I'm very curious about it for you as a touring musician and everything. Has there been struggles for you?
Well, no, I mean, it's no different to me. I mean, as far as discipline goes,
Mm.
I mean, like if I'm your agent and I was like, John, they need you to be like, you know, you got to drop, you got to be super ripped for this role that you're playing or whatever, and you're like, well, Zakk, how much time do I got? And you're like, you got like 6 months. You know what I mean? So then, you got to make your diet super strict and you got to do this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you're like, all right, I'll be ready. So you just do it. You know what I mean? So, no, I don't know, man. I think with anybody, whether you want to quit smoking or whatever. I mean, if you smoked and we brought you to the doctor because you had a cough or whatever, and the doctor told you on the verge of, emphysema, it'd be like, more like, Zakk, what do you think? I'm like, John, you just heard it, bro.
Yeah, time to
You got to
call it.
stop smoking, man. I mean, I'm just saying, you're like, man. Like, I like smoking. I go, yeah, I know. Well, but you're going to die, bro. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, no, I'm just saying the same thing with the drinking or same thing with anything. I'm working on that right now because I still crap my pants and I still, I'm not good at that yet. But I mean, I'm trying to get in a routine. I'm potty training myself right now. So, I figure by the time I'm 60, I'll have that. You know what I mean? So I just told my
Wait, what do
wife.
you mean? You literally shit yourself?
Yeah, still to this day. So, my wife's trying to, potty train me along with our children. But I mean, it just never stuck with me. So, I'm working on that. So I gave up the
Yeah.
drinking. I don't bite my fingernails anymore. So I figured next will be the potty training.
Yeah, there you go. Got to have those goals. Yeah, no, I just
I
asked the
got
question 'cause,
goals,
like,
bro. I got goals, John.
yeah, no, I love it. Well, I asked because, like, for me, like, when it's still difficult, even if someone tells you and like, we're talking Skinner, we brought up Freebird there, that smell, one more drink's gonna drown you, I get it, but like, it's been so much a part of my life that like, never going to have that again is like, it's fucking with me a little bit.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, like, I think, I mean, I don't tell anybody anything. I mean, I don't tell anybody how to live their lives. So it's just like,
Of course, right.
my whole thing is like, do you have any advice for quitting drinking? I go, yeah. I go, enjoy it, have a good time with it. I go, but if it starts getting in the way of you ruin the world or it's not working anymore, then you know what you got to do. I ain't got to tell you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You already know.
Right. That's
You
fair.
already know, man.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Congratulations
Well,
on 14 years, man.
You apply the same discipline. If the band's going to learn, you guys are going to throw a couple new songs in the set. yeah, like I gotta work on these tunes.
Right.
Like you're like Zakk, we haven't played them since we recorded them. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh well,
You got to work them.
like I got 2 weeks. I'm gonna start doing my homework now. You just apply yourself. That's all.
Right. That makes sense, man. I like that. I like that. I appreciate that. Speaking of applying yourself, though, let's get into Pantera, man. I had the pleasure of hearing you guys from a couple of the festivals that we did this last summer together. Was that the summertime? Yeah, all the
Yeah,
winter
probably. Yep.
festivals. The
Yeah,
winter
because we've already been
festivals.
doing this like a year already now.
Yeah, man. I haven't been able to watch from like outside, and I'm hoping I can like out in the crowd and stuff. So I was just warming up though, and hearing you guys play some of these songs that I grew up on again, and paying homage. I never had the pleasure of meeting Dime. I know he was a good friend of yours. Um, I became friends with Vinny. It wasn't like we were calling each other every day or anything like that. But when we saw each other, I always
Yeah,
like
yeah.
having
Good
fun with
people,
Vinny.
man.
Yeah,
Totally.
man. And just hearing you guys, like, how did you guys all come together to decide that this was the right time, the right group to pay homage to the mighty Pantera?
Well, I mean, it's always, we did Black Label and Down. We did some shows together in 2014. We did a tour, and
Mm,
it was great, because I've known Phil and all the guys and Jimmy Bauer, Father Bauer Power or whatever for a while. So I mean, the whole thing is so just a bunch of friends going out doing shows together. So and we did some Pantera stuff then, and then Father Rex came out and we jammed. Uh, Unbroken and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. So it's always been rumor about it, for years. I just said that's always on the fellas. I mean, me and Charlie are are buds, and we'll be here to support our friends, whatever they want to do. So uh, so when Phil called me up one day, he was like, Zaggy, you want to get together and do this? And we're thinking about me and Rex and Charlie and yourself, and we'll go out and pay tribute to Diamond Band. I was like, of course. I always said I would be there for you guys when you felt the time was right to do it. So, but yeah, we just got together and did the rehearsals for down in New Orleans, and then we've been rolling ever since. But when I look out, we just did the Garden and everything like that with Lamb of God and
sick.
uh, and the guys and everything like that. So it was great. So just looking out every night and seeing people taking a trip down memory lane, the people that have seen, the original Pantera, and when Phil says it every night, he's just like, how many people this is the first time ever seeing Pantera, and all the younger people that never got a chance to see him. It just really is a beautiful thing. So I mean, and I always say it every night when we're playing the Garden. It's just like if Dime and Vinny were right there on the side of the stage, they go, look at what you guys created. You know what I mean? So it's
Mm,
it's really special. So I think it's just a beautiful thing every night, paying honor and tribute to Dime and Vinny every night, and what Phil and Rex and Dime and Vinny with this thing that they
yes.
created that brings so many people joy.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a beautiful thing every night.
Yeah, man. I did have the pleasure of seeing them obviously years before I met when I was in high school on the Reinventing the Steel tour at the Gibson Amphitheater with Morbid Angel and Soulfly. It was a fucking incredible show
Mm.
to go to when I was
Yeah,
in high
totally,
school,
man.
man. Yeah,
Without a
such great
doubt.
stuff. Yeah, man. Another mutual friend I saw you posted with a pretty cool little thing while you guys were out with Metallica, Chris Jericho. You're a wrestling fan there?
Oh yeah, totally. Huge wrestling fan. So and obviously huge fan of Father Chris over there. So
Yeah.
me and Chris have been buddies for years. So but no, I'm a Jerichoholic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So love Father
Jericholic for
Chris, man.
sure.
But yeah, totally. Chris is the best, man. But yeah, just I've been a huge fan. Just as far as the Ultimate Warrior stuff and everything, I was always an Ultimate Warrior guy. So, but
Right.
my nephew when he wrestled it, when they wrestled at the Sky Dome in Toronto back in 1990, I remember my nephew was a huge Hulkamaniac, and it was a sad day in that household, man. When the Warrior won, but absolutely hilarious. But just crying. I don't think he came out of his room for a month and a half. Yeah, he was just completely destroyed. His life was in shambles. But
Oh, dude, yeah.
but yeah,
That's what
but
it did
wrestling,
to us. Wrestling
it's
did
great,
that to
man.
us as kids, man. Like you felt it, man. That was the whole
Totally,
thing.
totally. It's hilarious, bro.
Yeah, it's so great. Oh, dude, I had a buddy of mine, Brandon Chipetti from the band Bleeding Through on the show. He's local in Huntington Beach. We grew up together, and he's got a gym now that Warrior. I don't know if you were aware, did a little workout show that he was doing on YouTube. It's called the Warrior Show. Where he brought these young bands to a gym and tried to get them to work out and show them the power of working out and for longevity in the band. He's goes intense. He goes full warrior on these kids.
Oh, you're
And
talking about the kids that are drinking and doing drugs or
yes,
whatever, and the
yes,
Warrior's trying to whip them into shape.
yeah. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
talking about.
absolutely hilarious. Do something with your life. Oh my god, yeah, those clips are hilarious, man.
Oh, it's so good. My buddy was the guy that runs that gym that they did it out of a few times there, and he was like, "Oh man," he told me a couple stories, and he wasn't sure if they were true or not. But he's like, "This is a story the guy told me. I don't know." It was where he found out when Warrior started running out to the ring the first time, was basically a fuck you to McMahon, and and then McMahon ended up loving it. Was like the whole gist of the story. Did you ever have a
Oh
chance to
yeah,
meet
I mean, well,
Warrior?
that was just skip running out in the ring, shaking the ropes, and just
Fucking A.
powder.
Did
He
you
was the
ever
best, man.
did you ever have the pleasure of meeting Warrior?
No, but he actually did my roast. When the guys
Mm.
did the roast, the Warrior actually filmed a segment for the roast. But yeah, but they all let him know that I was a huge Warrior guy and everything like that. So but yeah, it was pretty mind blowing that he did the roast though. But it
Nice.
was great.
Do you keep up with wrestling these days?
Yeah, well, you got the stuff. I mean, all the stuff that Chris is doing in AEW and everything like that. So,
Yeah, man.
but yeah, it's still great, man. You know what I mean?
Did you see the Sting's last match?
Well, what's going on with what's that? With the what are you talking about? The WWE right now with the Rock
No,
coming back and everything.
no. Sting, the icon Sting's last match that he just had in Greensboro
Oh yes,
through
with Sting and
AEW.
everything like that.
Yeah,
Totally.
Sting.
Well,
Yeah, yeah,
Sting was buddies with the Warrior, so yeah, without
yeah,
a doubt,
yeah,
they
for
came up
sure.
together.
Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely. I actually had the pleasure before we started this tour going out and hanging out and watching that. I'm good friends with Darby Allin, his tag team partner, and it's just. But I'm glad you brought up the Rock and everything because for me, it's been a minute since I've been this invested in wrestling. I have a 7-year-old, so he's got me back into it quite a bit.
Oh, so
And
he's loving wrestling right now.
oh yeah, between that and doing this podcast and getting some of the wrestlers on and people who are fans of it, it's
They think his dad's
reinvigorated
the
it.
coolest guy in the world. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I became the coolest dad in the world when Darby Allin came into my house for the first time carrying the TNT championship and let my son hold it. He was fucking like, what the fuck did I just happen?
Totally.
Yeah. It'd be like when I was growing up, fucking Bret Hart coming over with the Intercontinental title. I was like, oh, this
Yeah,
is
well, there you
way
go.
too cool. But no, it's just a good time for wrestling. I mean, you got The Rock back. Like, that's when Cody Rhodes. You going to be watching
Yeah,
Mania this
totally.
year?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty insane. I mean, they're
Yeah.
building that thing up like it's nobody's business.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Smart. It's smart and fucking totally awesome.
Totally, man. It's great.
Yeah. You guys are going to be doing some Zakk Sabbath tours coming up here, right?
We're going down to
Shows?
South America. We just did one.
Mm-hmm.
We wrapped that one up, and then we did like 6 weeks with Zakk Sabbath, and then we came home, and then right back out with Pantera again. But I think we're doing South America. I mean, we're
Okay.
doing some dates down there. But yeah, some of that. I mean, but right now we got the Pantera celebration going on down in Australia. That's what we got next up.
Next stop is Australia. That's
Then
awesome.
obviously, yeah, and then we got the Berserkers going on in September.
Right.
So that's going to be cool. Looking forward to that as well.
What? Now, I saw you posting about this Berserkers. Can you tell the listeners a little bit more about what you got going on with this?
Yeah, well, you got music, but it's also a combination of that and Betty Crocker Taste Devastation Demolition Fest going on there. We got all types of stuff going on. Thumb wrestling, arm wrestling, marriages, all types of stuff. Who knows? Maybe a couple divorces will be happening because it's at the Poconos.
It's in the fucking Poconos. Oh, dude, we just
car
mixed,
shows. We
just
got
mixed
everything going on out there. Food trucks, beer tasting. We got the Valhalla Java. We got everything going on out there right now. We got the Miss Berserkers going on. I think I allowed beards this year, so I can enter it myself because I've been working on my thigh gap. So yeah,
how is it going?
I'm looking forward to it, bro.
How's the work with the thigh gap going then?
Oh, my diet's on point. I'm looking to take this title this year, bro.
Fuck yeah!
Like I said, discipline, 007. You apply yourself and you get it done.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. Don't you think there's a little bias though if you win it? Like, aren't the people going to be a little mad?
No, Paola's alive and well. Don't worry about it.
You said this for the listeners again. You said this is in the Poconos. What's the dates on that coming up?
September 14th, Saturday, September 14th.
In the Poconos.
When the Berserker's going to be, Cody Jinks, we got him. We got, Clutch is going to be. It's like everybody that I'm like friends with. They're just like grab all my friends and just get together and have a good time. Clutch, Rival Sons. We got Blackstone Cherry. And then we got between all the cover bands, and we got a whole nother thing going on the night before that we haven't announced yet. So that's coming up. But we got So-So, Atomic Punks, the Iron Maidens, all the cover bands, and then we're going to sneak some Zakk Sabbath in there as well. So, looking forward to it, bro.
Dude, that's
There's a couple surprises coming up as well. We're getting ready to announce.
All right. Well, I'll tell everyone by the time this comes out, they might have already been announced. But if it hasn't been, make sure you go follow Zakk for all that shit. And easy enough to find the man for sure.
Oh, yes, the Berserkers.
The Berserkers.
Another Festivus miracle.
Festivus for the rest of us, my man.
Exactly.
Dude, I love when you brought up the tucking of the sheets for Oz. I was like,
exactly.
This just sounds like Seinfeld episode. Yeah. I love it, man. Well, again, thank you so much for the time. I'll let you go enjoy that beautiful Parts Unknown that you're in right now. We stay in touch. I'll send your management my info in case you want to stay in touch later on, man. I'd love to hang with you in person sometime, man.
I'll tell the rest of the gang I said hey, and I hope everybody's doing great. And take care of yourself, Father John. Thanks for having me on, my brother.
Oh, man. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Cheers, buddy. You too, man.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Until next time, as always, cheers.